My name is Henriette, and my maiden name is Minashi. I born in Sudan. It's called Halfaya, Khartoum North. So, and I lived there till I was 13 years old in Sudan. And after that, I went to Egypt to visit my aunt, and I never went back to Sudan.
What were your parents doing in Sudan?
My father used to own a restaurant and an ice cream parlor. My mother had 6 children, and she was pregnant when my father died. That's why I was in Egypt, and when my father died, she had her 7th child. So my aunt called her and said, "You just had a baby, the 7th one, and no husband. I'll take care of this one for a while till things settle with you." My older brother was 16 years old when my father died. So, and then that in 1946, I arrived in Egypt. My father died in 47, April 47, and my sister born May 1st.
Were your parents Egyptian or were they?
No, my father is Iraqi, but my mother born in Sudan.
So your mother was Jewish?
Yes.
So how did your father from Iraq go to Sudan, and how was there a Jewish community in Sudan?
It was a Jewish community, and he has cousins went to Sudan for business, and they stayed there. And the love of his girlfriend went to Sudan, and he went to follow her. He was 25, 28 years old. He went to follow her, and she was married by then.
What was the Jewish community like there?
I think there was about, we have a beautiful synagogue, and the way I remember, the synagogue was full, about 400 people in the holiday. That I remember. I was 12, 13 years old. And the life was good, no problem. We had a big house, and we have maids, it's no problem. My father owned a restaurant, and we were living.
What languages did you speak?
Arabic.
Just Arabic?
Just Arabic. Wow. And we learned English in the school.
What kind of school did you go to?
I went to American Mission School. It was next door to my mother's house. That's where I went to school.
Was your family religious? Like observant?
Kosher, keep kosher house, but go to synagogue. Synagogue was about, we have to cross the Nile to go to the synagogue. The synagogue was in Khartoum, and we live in North Khartoum, so we have to cross and go. So on the holiday, my father used to go early and sleep there the night before because he doesn't want to travel in the holiday. So he sleeps there and we travel, because all the men go sleep at the synagogue to be, not to travel. Yeah. No cars then. They take the tram.
Wow. Were the Jews treated with respect in Sudan?
Yes, no problem. No problem. We never had anything. Nobody said you are Jews. As I remember, I was a child, 12, 13. Mm-hmm. No problem.
So did you grow up with like information about Iraq and your history from Iraq? Like, did you know much about it?
No.
Wow. So do you have any like memories or stories of being a Jewish girl? And
my grandfather, he born in Turkey. His father was Turkey, and he came to Sudan as a child, and that his name in the history book of Sudan because he was the peddler with a horse and buggy and goes to the people's houses to sell them the oil and the sugar and the clothes because they don't move out. And his name was in the history book in Sudan, Haron Levy, his name. And that's what he was, the first man to be a peddler and go travel in Sudan.
Did you interact with the African children or the Arab children in Sudan?
We were very friendly, no problem.
So tell me about going to Egypt a little bit and what that was like for you and what Egypt was like then.
Egypt was beautiful. I was in Egypt when King Farouk was there. And we live in an area called Daher, and that mostly Jewish people. And we don't walk on Shabbos, we don't drive bicycles, the neighbor will look at you. Everybody was Jewish and everybody was religious and a kosher houses and everything. Till 1948, when Israel born, and the Egyptian made a riot and they start hitting people and burning the Jewish stores. And my uncle came one day, my aunt was in the hospital having her child, and he was with my uncle on a motorcycle coming home. So he told them, "You Jew." And they kept hitting him with chain, metal chain. "You're Jewish." He said, "I'm not Jewish, I'm Muslim, I'm this." So finally he came home and we hid, and then he said, "This neighborhood is getting very hard." So we moved in the suburb, not too many Jews there. So we moved there because he owned the buildings there. And we lived there, and people start we were okay. 48, we moved out, and the people start to moving to Israel. From the neighborhood, they get beaten, and they burn their stores, and this, so they were scared. So people start going to Israel, little by little. Anyway, the neighborhood changed completely. Then it came, I remember in 1952, 49, I was in the cinema downtown, and I see on Saturday morning, and people are running, I didn't know what. Then I see the whole downtown is burning. So I took the train, I went home, and I was telling my aunt, "The city is burning." She said, "Oh my God." So we stayed home. We didn't go anywhere, we were scared. It was a curfew and all this. In 1950, that it was. Then 51 or 51, we were in Ras El Bar. It was a summer house we used to own. We go there every summer. No problem, all the Jews are there. No problem. We came back, it was a curfew. You cannot walk in the street after 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock is a curfew. So, story was so a neighbor saw me and she told my aunt, "I have somebody want to see your niece." He came for interview me, to see me, because in Egypt, what you call it, to introduce somebody. Shidu. So this, my husband, rest in peace, he came with his sister, and he sat for a while, and then I have to run. It's 10 o'clock and I have to go back to the city. So they ran because the curfew. Yeah. And then he left. That was in, what was it, in sometime in January 51. And he left. Then 6 months later he came back and he said, "I want to come and see her again." because it was trouble. Then he came back and see me and get engaged right away because my uncle interviewed him and he was a nice man. So anyways, life in Egypt was wonderful. We have no problem. Till Nasser came in. And then we start to have a hard time. People, Israel born and all the Jews start to leave. In 1950, most of our friends, they left Egypt because they couldn't go in business and synagogues start to be burning and this. So everybody moved. So I got married in 1952 and I moved to a city called Mansoura. The Jewish there was nice, no problem. 6 months later, my husband been promoted, I moved to Fayoum. That is close to the pyramid in Egypt. And I was only Jew in that area. The only Jewish people there. My husband worked for International Harvester. He was the manager of the branch of Fayoum. And we had no problem. Our friend, the mayor is my neighbor, the governor is my neighbor. My husband loved by all the people. We have no problem. And we got to Cairo, they said, everybody's leaving. Aren't you staying? He said, where I have to go? I'm okay. I have no problem. 56, I put him, a policeman came in the house, he said, Zaki Effendi, are you Jewish? He said, yes, I am. He said, okay, I have a little paper here said you have to stay home and not to move from your house because you are my friend and I know you. Please don't go anywhere and we'll take care of you. If you need anything, we'll take care of you. So I said, okay. And he came home and we stayed home, no problem. He goes shopping, the children go to school, everything was okay. Till what happened in 1956, that we said, okay, we'll leave. We go to Cairo, all my family leaving already. So we said, okay, we'll leave. We have no problem. But in 56, his money in the bank, he cannot withdraw. The Jews cannot take their money out of the bank. Said, okay. Wait till later. He said, okay, no problem, it's safe in the bank. Then he went to work and told them, I'm leaving. I was pregnant with my third child. They told them, you don't have to leave. Your position is the same. You can stay and all the privilege. We have the telephone, we have the car. They did not take it away from us. And we lived there from 56 till 62. We have no problem. We are the only Jew. My friend, very nice. I have no problem. Went back to Egypt. Now, all the family is gone. I told them we cannot live here anymore. We are a Jews, the children has to go. So we went to the embassy. And because I am born in Sudan, we had visa to come to America. In 2 weeks, we had everything done. And we came to America.
What did you leave behind in Egypt?
He left the money he left in the post office that he cannot withdraw. My house, I gave it to my neighbor. I don't own it, I rent. Everybody, I said, whatever you want, take. That's from my friend because it's no problem. His friend, I said, anything you sell, I take the bedroom, I take this, and they gave us money. He said, whatever you want, we're leaving. And he did not tell him we're leaving for good. He told him I'm going for business for 3 years when I come back. because they were good friends, like family.
How old were your children then?
My youngest one was 4.5, and 6 and 8.
Was it hard for them to leave, or was it like an adventure?
Yes, it was very hard my daughter was very hard because she have a lot of friends in the school. The only thing, she came back one day and said, "Mom, I have to ask you a question." I said, "What it is?" "I'm a Muslim or a Christian." I said, "Why? You want to know?" She said, "Because the school has a religious class and I have to be in the class. Which one should I go?" So that the day I told my husband, we have to leave.
What did you tell her when you said?
I said, "We are Jewish and you're not going to any of those classes." So tell him I went to the teacher and I told her. She said, "No problem. She can sit in the class and doesn't matter. Muslim is more religious, same religious as yours. She can go to the Muslim class." I said, "We're leaving anyway." So I told the teacher, she's American, I said, "We're going to America. Where should I go?" She said, "Go to Chicago."
Was it scary for you to have children and no?
I have no problem. Really, personally, I had no problem. My friends were good. I lived with the Muslim people. I mean, we go to the summer house, Fatma, Marika, and Rachel, because one Muslim, one Christian, and one Jewish. That's what we are, the 3 girls together. With our children, we rent a big house and we go the whole summer spent together with our children. Personally, I don't have a problem.
Do you keep in touch with those friends?
I used to, not anymore.
Did they stay in Egypt? Do they still live there?
Died. Most of my friends died.
But did they live in Egypt?
They live in Egypt. They still Muslim and Christian. They have, one of them, she has one daughter only. She moved to California. I used to be in touch with her till about 10 years ago. We stopped.
So when you left, did you go by boat or by airplane? How?
By boat to Paris. I have to tell you a little story about the boat to Paris. Because we only have 15 days since they gave us a visa. We only have 15 days to go, to leave. So we were in Cairo to leave. Then they said, they took our passport. My husband, he was in the army for a couple days, and then he told them he's Jewish. He cannot be in the army. And that time they used to pay 20 pounds and you can get out of the army. He born in 1926. So it was about in the 40s. It was no problem. That time you can pay and not to go to the army. So he paid. He had the paper that he can release, but he could be in the army if he want. So this paper helped him to get identification card. And his name is Zaki Ibrahim. He did not call himself Eshkenazi. He just put Zaki Ibrahim was his father. He did not put Eshkenazi at all. So they know him as a Muslim. So that's why. And my husband has a lot of story to tell about his life. And he used to drive a Volkswagen like the officers in the army. That is called a Volkswagen like khaki, you know. So, and he wore the shirt, a khaki shirt, so they think he's an officer. And one day he was passing with his employee, one Italian and the 2 Muslim guys working with him. And the police stopped him in the traffic. So he said, he opened the window and he said, "Officer, I have worked for the government And you want me to wait here for 25 cars going in the front. And here I am standing here. I have governor work to do. Not for you, sir. And he gave him a salute and he drove. The minute he drove out, he said, thank God. Because his language is real Egyptian and they think he is real officer. So they salute him and go. And he was okay. We have no problem with anything, no. That's what we can say about ourselves. But the rest of the family, they really had a hard time.
Yeah.
We heard. My sister-in-law, my husband's sister, she was a single woman. And because her husband was English, she has to leave the country in 48 hours. So the neighbor came and said, I'll buy all your furniture. She said, okay, buy it. He came and took all the furniture. He said, you dirty Jew, I'm not paying you. So my husband was a shirt, a khaki shirt, and this he went, excuse me, you have the lady upstairs and you took her furniture. Pay her. She's a dirty Jew. He said, doesn't matter. The government did not say you take their money and their furniture. You pay her or you give her back the furniture. So, you know she's a dirty Jew and she this. Said, I'm telling you, you pay her or this. So the man paid. He gets scared of him. I'll call the police and get you in trouble. So with his personality, he can get away with things like that. And people are nice. The government was bad.
Yeah.
People try to take advantage of you. But we have no problem. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
talking about myself.
Tell him the story when you went back to Chicago with the man.
When we left Egypt, my husband gave one of the people he worked with, he gave him the money we have because we have to get out with no money. So I tell him, here is our money. Whenever you have a chance to come to America, bring it to me. And we couldn't even write a letter to tell him, how are you, how is the family? Nothing mentioned about anything. 3 years later, a call from the Drake Hotel. I am Mustafa, I'm here. Come and meet me for dinner. Went and met him for dinner. Zaki, here is your money with the interest and everything.
Wow.
I mean, people are nice. I cannot say. We got our money, and we were the first people from the Egyptian people who came. We went and bought a house right away when he brought us the money.
You're lucky.
We were lucky.
Really lucky.
Yes, we were. And like I said, my kids, I was happy. With the family. I lived in a neighborhood with, I'm the only Jew, and we are loved. I have no problem. So, like you see, the people ask about me, and I tell you who I am.
Yeah. It's great.
I'm
Good
friendly.
karma.
My house is open.
Yeah.
My house was open all the time. My friend come over all the time. I have no problem.
You're like Iraqi, you know?
Huh?
It's like the Iraqi way.
Yeah, I have no problem at all.
Yeah.
So when the people said they had this and they suffer, and I said, thank God, I have no problem. We came here with nothing, and thank God for the highest. Oh, I'm telling you about the story about the 15 days we have. The ship was 2 days before our visa expired. We went in the ship, they took us in. We arrived in Italy. We went to go out. The ship stopped there. So the man said, sorry, you cannot get out. Why? Your visa is expired. So we don't know what to say. Visa's expired. We arrived in Marseille, and the highest was waiting to pick all the Jews, the refugee, and the man stamped it right away. I did not say a word, and we went to Paris. When we went to Paris, my husband went to get the visa to get to America. The man there pulled his head. What's the matter? How did you enter this city? You have no paper. What do you mean I have no? Your visa expired. You are stateless, you have no place. Lucky you get away, get off the ship. So we have to stay 2 weeks in Paris to become, to get our passport again and visa again from Paris to get us out of Paris. We couldn't get out of Paris. We have no paper at all.
So what did you do? How did you get the paper?
The highest. God bless the highest. Really, they took care of us. We arrived here. They met us at the airport. They gave us money. They put us in a hotel. They gave us an apartment for 1 year. They gave us food, money for food. They paid our rent, the hospital, everything the highest did. And my husband started working, and they still give us money because his salary not enough to pay the rent and food. They gave us money till, then I start working after a year. Then we told them we have enough, we can live with what we have, and that's it. And thank God when we have money, we paid back to the highest. And they did help us very much.
So when you came to the United States, where did you go? Like, where did you come? Where did you arrive? Where did you live?
We arrived in New York, and then the highest met us in New York, and they gave everybody $50 for food and to get here. We arrived in Chicago. A lady from the highest met us at the airport and took us to the hotel. We came with my brother-in-law was in Paris for 6 months. He had no visa to go anywhere. And when we arrived, he told them, my brother going to Chicago, can I go with my brother to Chicago? They said yes. So we came with his brother in the plane to New York. And from New York, all of us, my brother-in-law with 3 children, and we with 3 children, all of us, they took us to the hotel and they gave us money. We arrived in April 13, and Pesach was the next day. So the highest said here, this is a place to go for the kosher, and this is and this. They show us what to do. And we stayed 3 weeks in the hotel till we find an apartment. And they sent somebody to pick us from the hotel to show us apartment in a Jewish area. And that was West Rogers Park. That's where we lived for 5 years in Farwell and Sheridan. I had a 1-bedroom apartment at daytime. At nighttime it was 3-bedroom because it was so huge apartment. So my children slept in the dining room. My daughter lived in the living room. There is Murphy's bed in the living room. And the 2 boys, they have bunk bed in the dining room. And we lived there for 5 years till our money came from Egypt, and we bought a house.
What was it like those 5 years? Was it hard for you and for your children? Was it difficult, or did you assimilate fast?
I was lucky. A German doorman was his wife. She came and she said, I take care of your children. The first year I did not work because Moses was only 5. and he goes to school only 3 hours. I did not work. The next year when he goes to first grade, and then the Temple Bet Shalom, we went there, and they took us, you don't have to pay membership, and the school for free for the children, for Hebrew school.
Yeah.
The rabbi said, bring the children here, we'll take care of it. For the 5 years, we never paid any money because we only have money to eat and live. The 5 years I lived in Farwell, I took care of the children Hebrew school. And the highest always send them somebody to check on us if everything okay. My husband used to be a manager in Egypt, and he said, I do any job you want me to do. He was scheduled to go work for International Harvester. The highest told him no, they're anti-Semitic, don't go there. So I said, find me a job. So they found him a job as a cutter to cut clothes. He said, I don't care, I do anything for my family. And he worked as a cutter, and whatever, we were close. Whatever we had, we eat. And our friend, the one come from Egypt, we live around together every Saturday in somebody's house. You know, when you get together with all the Egyptians, we are away, so we get close together, the children together. And we had a good time. My neighbor, the janitor wife, she said, if you want to go to work, I take care of the children when they come home. She took care of the children for me. I tried to pay her, she said no.
Did you miss Egypt?
Yeah, I missed Egypt?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. In the beginning, I was crying. I had 2 maids. I come here with 3 children. I have nothing. But I was lucky, like I said. This lady said, I'll take care of the children. And my husband said, don't worry, I'll help you everything in the house. I'll do the shopping, I do this. And we did. We, with the neighbor, the Jewish one, we go together and we learn what to do. And we did, we managed.
Was the Ashkenazi community in Chicago very open and welcoming?
Very nice neighbor. All the neighbors was very nice. The temple was wonderful. I mean, we don't have to worry. They take care of my children. They go to Hebrew school. The rabbi loved my husband because he goes every Saturday and this. No problem. They did the bar mitzvah for my 2 boys. They teach him for the bar mitzvah. I did not pay. They took care of it.
What about the Sephardic congregation?
I joined the Sephardic congregation when I moved to my house. I moved in Sacramento, and the Sephardic synagogue just started to be next to us. So the Egyptian, the one who lived in that area, they said, now you join this synagogue. It's a walking from my house. Because when I lived in Farwell, synagogue next to the house, just back of the house I go. And my husband liked to walk to synagogue, so we did that when we joined the synagogue in 1979.
And did you meet?
1970. We arrived 62, 69 we joined the synagogue.
Did you meet a lot of other North Africans and Middle Eastern people?
A lot of Egyptian. I met a lot of Egyptian at the synagogue. Oh, when we arrived to America, my husband fell and broke his arm. And we went to look for a house. And when we came back, he was telling a joke with his brother, and he was laughing so much, he fell in the track. And a man walking by, he said, get out, a B train will come and kill you. He pulled him up of the train and take him out. So before we left Egypt, he had a kidney infection, and the doctor gave him a Novalgene shot to release the pain. And he has a few shots left. So when he fell and his arm hurt, He went to the pharmacy like in Egypt. You go to the pharmacy, give me a shot.
Yeah.
So the pharmacist looked at him and he called the police. So the police came. How many you have of this? He said, no, this is the only one I have left over from the story of my kidney and this. He said, what is your problem? He said, I fell and I hurt my arm. He said, I'll take you to the hospital. The police took him to Weiss Memorial Hospital. And the girl at the desk, what's your name? Henriette Eshkenazi. Where you live? Somerset Hotel. You're Blue Shield, Blue Cross? I'm Jewish. She told him, excuse me. I didn't ask about your religion. You have insurance? He said, no, I just came yesterday. I arrived yesterday to Chicago. I have no. So she said, where are you from? I'm from Egypt. Okay, we have Egyptian doctor for you. So we stayed in the hospital, and the police came and asked him so many questions about the novel gene. It's a drug.
Yeah.
So how many, and come to search your house if you have more. He said, I don't have any more. This is the only one. I swear about it, and that's it. It's no problem. So the doctor came in, and he said, where is Egyptian donkey in Arabic? Where فين الحمار? So he said, me, doctor, me. So I came and put a cast in his arm, and we did not pay. The doctor came, and so the next day a man came from CTA. What happened? How did you feel? And we take care of you. We take care of the bill. He said, no, I just arrived and the hospital did not send me a bill. You working? He said, no, I'm not working. We'll give you money. He said, I don't need any money. I'm okay, just my arm, I'll be okay. So the next day people tell him, you failed, the city has to pay you this. I don't need anything, I'm okay. So, and he worked, and thank God, we lived comfortable, raised my children. I'm happy I'm in the United States.
Yeah. What about Israel? Did you ever feel that you wanted to go to Israel, or what was it like being Jewish in Egypt when Egypt was having wars with Israel?
Yeah, everybody was going to Israel. And his sister, be honest, she called him and said, don't come now. I'm having a very, very hard. She left with 6 children. And she said, I live in one room, it's very bad, I am suffering. Don't come to Israel. If you have a chance to go any place else, go. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
He has a sister, the one I told you is English, her husband, and she's in London. And we have opportunity to come to United States, so I'm going to United States. I'm not going to Israel now.
Yeah. And what about keeping your Sephardic and your Mizrahi heritage in the United States? Like, do you feel that you've passed it on to your children and that you still cook the foods and that it's still a part of...
I did that, but my children married Ashkenazi, and they joined the Ashkenazi groups. They don't have a Sephardic synagogue here, so they go to the conservative synagogue. They don't keep Sephardic, and that's what happened.
Do you still cook the foods from that you
I
ate?
still, and I come here every holiday to cook the Sephardic food.
What are some of the things that you make?
I make the grape leaves. I made the baklava. I made stuffed zucchini.
I know you made the okra for my dad. And
Your
he
okra for
always
your
knows
dad.
what he's talking about.
I make okra. I make, what else I make? The cookies, the Egyptian cookie, the one with the date and the baklava and the kataifi. I make all the Egyptian food and make molokhia all the time. And all American friends love my green soup. They call it the green soup. This is the real Egyptian meal, the molokhia.
What is it?
It is just a vegetable like celery, and it's grinded, and you make it with a chicken soup.
Have you gone back to Egypt since?
I went. Turn that off.
Have you gone back to Egypt?
I went back.
What was that like?
I cannot believe what happened to Egypt. It was so filthy, dirty. We were in a hotel in Giza. I could not see 10 minutes from my balcony. Smog and dirt. Cannot believe that what happened to Cairo. I went there in 91. I went with my girlfriend. Both of us went to Egypt, went to Israel with my husband and went to Egypt. We could not believe what happened there. And then I went to Fayoum to see my friends. And the one who's still alive, they cannot believe it. The story about a young boy used to be, in Egypt you give your laundry to be ironed. And the boy come and pick it up and bring it back to us. So my husband was standing outside to his house, and this man came in. He said, "Are you looking for somebody?" He said, "No, I used to live here." He said, "You used to live here? This is a family who moved away. They're a wonderful family." He said, "That's me." This man, he hung up on him. I mean, when we left in 56, it's 25 years later, he hung on him, he held him and he said, "I won't let you go. You are my family here." The people were so nice when we went back. And life is the same. I took my son with me, and he said, "It's beautiful, but you don't know any better when you lived here." Yeah. It was poor, it was nothing there. And he come from America now, he doesn't know. He went back to school. It was a Friday. And he went to school, and the doorman, he told them, "My name is Abe, and we used to live here." He said, "Oh, Abe? They used to call you Bo." He said, "Yes. And you have a sister Sarah and a brother Moses." He said, "Yes." The man did not know what to do with him. He took him and he said that he opened all the school for him, and he showed him the picture of the classes where he was and all this. I mean, people are nice.
Yeah. Did you ever read Lucette Lagnado's book, The Man in the White
Yes.
Shirt? So can you tell me do you think that book was important, and do you think that it should be read more?
Yes, it should be.
What was it like for you reading that book?
It was a nice touching. It is a very touching story. Yeah. And that is her life. Yeah. But my life was different.
Yeah. It sounds like you had an incredible life. I can't believe how many, you had such luck. The fact that the man came to Chicago and gave you your money.
Yes.
Back, I never heard.
Nobody told you that?
No one. I never heard any stories. I've interviewed a lot of people, and everyone lost everything. They didn't get that.
We lost everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's material.
Yeah.
My husband said it's material. A day before I get in the ship, my husband said, "I don't want any problem." I had all my jewelry. We went to the jewelry store. He put it in a scale. He gave us $500. It worth a few $1,000s. He said, "I don't want," because they said Jews not supposed to take any jewelry. Yeah. He said, "Here, put them in a scale." He gave us $400. We went to a store called Shemla. We bought sheets, towels, what to buy? I bought leather suitcases, leather. Oh, Buy a leather suitcase, you sell it there. Who care what to sell and what to do? It's thrown in the garbage. We took luggage with all sheets and towels and clothes we can never use anyway. And it came in, no problem, we brought it in. We have to, and that when we gave some money to the neighbor, tell her give it to that man. My jewelry money, here, take it and give it to that man. And they did. I have a neighbor, I tell you, next door neighbor. She is a hagga, she never have children. And when I have my daughter, I don't know what happened to me. I have no idea. I wake up in the morning, a doctor, this lady and her husband sitting there. I had a breast infection, I've been poisoned. She came in the house, she talked to me, I couldn't answer. She called a doctor. The doctor came and opened my breast and drain it. And the doctor stays there 3 hours with her, and she's sitting there. My husband was away for work for 2 days. I couldn't touch him, they couldn't get in touch with him. These people, if it's not this neighbor, I would have died. Yeah. She came in, she took my daughter and she took care of me till 2 days. They said I was in a coma for 2 days. They took care of everything. I have no idea what happened.
It's nice.
So I was lucky with my neighbor. She was a mother to me and a sister. They raised my children. I had a good life.
Yeah. So this is the last question because I need to stop and keep going. But do you have any last reflections on being an Egyptian Jew and what it means? Any last thing that you want to say about being an Egyptian Jewish lady?
No, I really had good life there. I'm here, I'm having a better life. And thank God I have my children here. Nothing happened to us. My family all over the world. I have a sister in New York. I have a brother and a sister in London. I have 2 brothers live in Israel. So we are all over the world. Thank God everybody is okay.